You're watching South Asia Newsline and here are the top stories we are tracking for you on Tuesday, the 8th of July. PM Modi in Brasilia for state visit after BRICS summit in Rio. Pakistan denies India allegation of Chinese support in May conflict. And US President Trump slaps 35% tariff on products from Bangladesh. And now for all the details. After attending the 17th BRICS summit in Rio de Janeiro, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi arrived in Brasilia on Monday for a state visit to Brazil. The Prime Minister was accorded a warm welcome at the Brasilia airport with the Batala Mundo Band performing traditional Afro-Brazilian compositions. The Indian community in Brazil also greeted the PM at the airport. In a post on X, PM Modi emphasized on the global efforts to promote the Afro-Brazilian percussion, in particular the samba reggae from Brazil. During his visit, PM Modi will hold bilateral discussions with Brazilian President Lula da Silva on broadening the strategic partnership between the two nations in areas including trade, defense, energy, space, technology, and people-to-people linkages. Earlier in Rio, while addressing a session at the BRICS summit in Brazil, PM Modi said India would redefine the BRICS grouping under its upcoming chairmanship by focusing on building resilience and innovation for cooperation and sustainability. India is scheduled to host the next BRICS summit in 2026. PM Modi is on a five-nation visit that started in Ghana, then he went to Trinidad and Tobago, and then to Argentina and Brazil. He will head to Namibia on Wednesday. India abstained from voting on the UN General Assembly resolution on the situation in Afghanistan on Monday, as it raised concern over the lack of strategies to address the country's complex crisis. The resolution, titled The Situation in Afghanistan, was adopted by a vote of 116 in favor, 2 against and 12 abstentions. Delivering the explanation of vote, India's permanent representative to the UN said that without new and targeted international initiatives, a business-as-usual approach was unlikely to deliver meaningful outcomes for the Afghan people. Highlighting India's concern over terrorist threats emanating from Afghanistan, India warned that terror groups such as Al-Qaeda, ISIL, Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed, all of which are designated by the UN Security Council, continue to exploit Afghan soil with support from regional sponsors, a veiled reference towards Pakistan. India urged international community efforts to ensure that Afghanistan should not become a launchpad for terrorists. Critiquing the resolution's lack of new mechanisms, India emphasized the need for a balanced policy mix, combining incentives for positive behavior and disincentives for harmful actions rather than relying solely on punitive rhetoric. While India has not yet recognized the Taliban government in Afghanistan, it has been engaged with the de facto authorities, with Indian Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar holding telephonic conversation with Taliban's Foreign Minister Amir Khan Muttaqi earlier in May. India has also been engaged in providing humanitarian assistance to the Afghan people after the Taliban takeover.
Is closely monitoring the security situation in Afghanistan. The international community must direct its coordinated efforts towards ensuring that entities and individuals designated by the UN Security Council, the Al-Qaeda and their affiliates, ISIL and their affiliates, including Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed, along with their regional sponsors who facilitate their operations, no longer exploit Afghan territory for terrorist activities. No new policy instruments have been introduced to address the worsening humanitarian crisis in Afghanistan since August 2021. A business-as-usual approach without new and targeted initiatives is unlikely to deliver the outcomes the international community envisions for the Afghan people.
And days after India alleged China provided active military support to Pakistan during the military hostilities between both countries earlier in May, Islamabad has rejected the claim, calling it factually incorrect. In an address to the graduating officers of National Security and War Corps in Islamabad, Pakistan Army Chief Field Marshal Asim Munir said the insinuations regarding external support during Pakistan's operation against India are irresponsible and factually incorrect. He said it was a shoddy attempt at playing camp politics in a bilateral military conflagration. The remarks came in response to comments by Lieutenant General Rahul Singh, the Indian Army's Deputy Chief for Capability Development, who had said India was combating two adversaries on one border, adding that Pakistan was on the front and China was providing all support. He highlighted Pakistan's 81% of the military hardware was Chinese and added the conflict was used by Chinese as live lab to test its weapons. The comments also gained response from Beijing earlier this week, which said during the hostilities, China's defense and security cooperation with its close neighbor Pakistan was normal. However, it said the bilateral cooperation did not target any third country. Notably, China has offered Pakistan diplomatic support over the past three wars in 1965, 1971 and 1999 against India. New Delhi, which was engaged in military hostilities against Pakistan after a terror outfit affiliated to Pakistan-based Lashkar-e-Taiba, claimed responsibility for the Pahalgam attack. During post-operation briefings, Indian security officials highlighted the use of Chinese and Turkish drones by the Pakistani forces. Moving on, US President Donald Trump has announced a 35% tariff on all products imported from Bangladesh, effective August 1, 2025. The decision, outlined in an official letter to Bangladesh Chief Advisor Muhammad Yunus, is part of a broader move targeting 14 countries, including Japan, South Korea, and Malaysia. Trump said the tariff is necessary to correct many years of trade imbalances and barriers that have contributed to a growing US trade deficit with Bangladesh. This deficit is a major threat to our economy and national security, he stated. The tariff will apply across sectors, and any attempt to transship goods to avoid higher tariffs will be penalized accordingly. Trump also warned that if Bangladesh raises its own tariffs, the US will match the increase on top of the 35%. Bangladesh, known for its $45 billion garment export industry, its largest foreign exchange earner, sends a significant portion of its products to the US. This tariff could heavily impact its export-driven economy. Trump said the tariff could be revised depending on future trade relations, urging Bangladesh to open its markets to US goods. In a separate executive order, Trump also extended the pause on tariffs against several other nations to 1st of August. This 90-day suspension of tariffs was to expire on 9th of July. Moving on, the Sri Lankan government will have to subject itself to a probe to uncover the truth behind 2019 Easter Sunday attacks, and it is a challenging task, President Anurakumara Dissanayake said on Monday. Speaking during an event to mark 50 years of Catholic Church leader Cardinal Malcolm Ranjit's religious life, the president affirmed that every possible step will be taken to ensure justice for victims of the Easter attacks without allowing the passage of time to obscure the truth. He emphasized that this is a challenge the government must confront even within its own institutions, and no matter how difficult it may be, justice must be served. The Catholic minority, angered by lack of proper attention to deliver justice to victims over the years, backed Dissanayake during last year's presidential election. The deadly blast targeted 3 churches and 3 luxury hotels, killing more than 260 people and shattered a decade of relative peace after the end of a 25-year civil war. The attacks were claimed by a local group affiliated to the Islamic State. and at least 18 people, including 12 Nepali and 6 Chinese nationals, are missing after a massive flood in Lende Khola River on Tuesday, which also washed away the Sino-Nepal Friendship Bridge and parts of the Pasang-Lamu highway, cutting off access to several areas. Assistant Chief District Officer Dhruba Prasad Adhikari confirmed the missing include 3 police officers and 9 civilians. Rescue efforts were underway but reportedly hampered by bad weather. Triggered by heavy rains, the flood caused landslides, road erosion, and damaged key hydropower projects in Rasuwa, halting electricity production of up to 200 megawatts. While national power supply remains stable due to monsoon capacity, the Bote Koshi and Trishuli corridor projects have also suffered severe setbacks. Authorities have urged the public to avoid travel and river banks in the affected areas. That's all in tonight's edition. We will see you same time tomorrow. Good night.